Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tearing down the mechanics of cybercrimes and looking at the absolute cutting-edge forensics used to track down invisible perpetrators. So, if you've ever wanted to dissect the real science behind cyber forensic analytics, well, let's just dive right in. Here's our masterclass syllabus. We're going to move systematically through 5 distinct units today, starting with understanding cybercrime, then digital forensics, cyber investigation techniques, digital evidence management, and finally, cyber laws. And yep, we'll be testing your knowledge with a quick practice quiz at the end of each one. All right, Unit 1, Understanding Cybercrime, focusing on the digital threat landscape. Let's get started. To understand the crime, we first have to define the scene of the crime, right? And that is cyberspace. But it's not just the internet. It's the entire interconnected nervous system of our digital devices and global infrastructure. Because literally almost every facet of modern life plugs into this network. It's the ultimate, borderless, target-rich environment for criminals. And threat actors target this environment in a few really specific ways. You've got malware, which acts like a silent infiltrator, slowing things down and stealing data. Then there's identity theft, where they steal your actual credentials to weaponize your digital persona and open fraudulent accounts. We also see a ton of ransomware. That's where they encrypt your files and demand a hefty payment to get them back, along with broader online fraud schemes that just exploit human trust for major financial gain. Now, a prime delivery method for almost all of these attacks is email fraud. While your standard phishing attack tricks victims by mimicking legitimate institutions, spoofing, which we see broken down here, actually takes it a whole step further. Hackers forge the underlying sender address to bypass your spam filters entirely, so that malicious request, it looks like it came directly from a trusted colleague or a vendor you work with every day. It's wild. Okay, time for our first pop quiz. Think back for a second. Which cybercrime specifically relies on forging a sender's email address to appear as a trusted source? I'll give you a second. If you said spoofing, you hit the nail on the head. Moving right along to Unit 2, Digital Forensics, where we focus on uncovering the artifacts. So when analysts are hunting for data-stealing tools like keyloggers, they really have to differentiate between software and hardware threats. It's absolutely crucial. Software keyloggers are malicious programs just running secretly in the background capturing your keystrokes. Hardware keyloggers, on the other hand, they require an actual physical breach. It's literally a physical device placed right between the keyboard and the computer. Detecting them requires totally different investigative muscles. You're looking at memory analysis for the software side and actual physical audits for the hardware. Let's see if you caught that distinction. Quick quiz. Which type of keylogger requires a physical device to be inserted directly into the computer? That would be a hardware keylogger. Okay, Unit 3, Cyber Investigation Techniques. Time to play the digital detective. Sometimes, just analyzing server logs isn't enough. Investigators actually have to go undercover. First, they establish covert monitoring to track suspects without triggering any alarms. Next up is persona creation. This is where they meticulously craft a completely believable fake digital identity on a dark web marketplace. And finally, they engage in actual undercover transactions, maybe posing as a buyer of stolen data, just to secure that ironclad evidence of illegal operations. Unit 3 quiz time. During an infiltration, what do we call the exact step where law enforcement establishes a fake identity on the dark web? That is digital persona creation. But here's the thing. Catching the criminal means absolutely nothing if you can't prove it in court. So let's jump into Unit 4, Digital Evidence Management, Building the Case. In the physical world, evidence is, a fingerprint on a glass or a discarded weapon. But in the digital realm, we are looking for entirely different breadcrumbs. As the definition here points out, evidence could be a fragmented chat log, a weird anomaly in a network trace, or even hidden data carved directly out of volatile system memory. And managing all of this digital evidence requires a seriously rigorous systematic life cycle if it's going to survive legal scrutiny. As we can see mapped out here, it starts with finding and forensically collecting the data to preserve its integrity. Then, analysts have to process and verify that data, basically proving no contamination occurred. Finally, meticulous documentation allows the evidence to actually be used in formal reports or in a courtroom. A single break in this chain, the whole case falls apart. Quick knowledge check for Unit 4. After digital evidence is found and collected, what is the immediate next step in the life cycle? You got to process the evidence. Finally, Unit 5, Cyber Laws. Let's look at the legal framework that makes prosecuting these crimes possible. So the Information Technology Act 2000, or ITA 2000, is really what gives teeth to these investigations. It acts as our legal shield, it straight up criminalizes unauthorized access to systems, and protects your confidential customer data from theft. It also explicitly penalizes the creation of deceptive, fake websites and mandates that businesses lock down their electronic records using strong encryption and strict access controls. All right, time for a final quiz today. Which specific framework protects individuals and businesses from unauthorized data access and deceptive websites? Yep, that is the Information Technology Act 2000. And just like that, you've successfully completed this masterclass explainer. We've covered the whole shebang: the landscape of cybercrime, the mechanics of digital forensics, undercover infiltrations, evidence life cycles, and the laws that tie it all together. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final, kind of provocative thought regarding your own daily digital life. With cybercriminals constantly evolving their tactics, from complex phishing and identity theft to those hidden hardware keyloggers we talked about, is your digital footprint ever truly secure? It's definitely a question worth pondering the next time you log on. Thanks so much for learning with me today.